Hello everyone. Today I am going to teach you about the most significant topic of English grammar, that is tenses. And this video is specially designed to learn about present tense and its types. In English grammar, we use present tense to talk about something that is going on currently or that is true now and at any time. In other words, we use present tense to describe an event in real time that is happening at the very moment. Let us learn more about the present tense and its types. As I mentioned, that tenses not only denotes time but also state of an action. That is why the three tenses present, past and future are further divided into four categories. Here we will discuss about the four categories of present tense, that is present simple, present continuous, present perfect and present perfect continuous. To clarify it, one example has been used here with its rule in four different ways. You can pause the video, read the rule and its example. And then we will learn about these four types one by one. Let's begin with the present simple. As I will be describing the tenses, you have to concentrate on the examples also. Now read the statement. Present simple is used to describe a current activity or state of being. However, the present tense can also be used to describe future activities. Now see, three things are there which present simple can describe. See the first example. I swim in the sea every Saturday. So this is a current activity which I do on every Saturday. So I am using present simple here. Next is I am happy. This is a current state of being, how I am feeling. So I am happy. So this is the current state of being. See the third example. The meeting ends at 6 o'clock. Now see, the meeting ends at 6 o'clock. It shows that something is going to end in future, but we are using present simple here by using the first form of verb in the sentence, ends. So that is why present simple denotes current activity also, state of being also, and sometimes it describes the future activities also. Let's learn about present simple in detail, that when should we use the present simple tense. See the first example. People need food, 2 and 2 make 4. So these are the general statements which are true. So when something is generally true, we use simple present tense because these are the facts which we cannot deny. Next is situation, which is more or less permanent. She works in a bank. I don't like mushrooms. So these are the things which are happening right now. We don't know that it will be permanent or not, but we can use simple present tense to describe a less or more permanent situation. Next is habits or things that we do regularly. Do you smoke? So this is something which I am asking about the habit. So it can be a regular thing. Next is I play tennis every Sunday. So this is also a routine which I do on every Sunday. Next is short actions that are happening now. He takes the ball, runs very fast and he scores. So basically we use present simple tense when something just happens and just gets over. Next is when we talk about future. For example, what time does the film start? So we don't know when it is going to begin, but we are asking it in a simple present. The school begins at 8 tomorrow. So this is also an official program, official thing which is going to happen tomorrow, but we can ask about this in the present simple. So basically this tense is used in the official programs and timetables. Next are conditional sentences. Conditional sentences Means if you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. It is a fact also, but it is conditions also that we need to heat the water to 100 degrees first. So these are the situations, these are the categories when we can use present simple tense. You can pause the video and read the examples once again to comprehend it in a better way. Talking about the rules of present simple tense, we need to understand that we make sentences in three different ways. Assertive sentence, we also call it positive sentences, negative and interrogative. When we make assertive sentence, we use subject plus first form of verb with s or es plus object. Let's see the example. She writes a letter. In this sentence, she is the subject, write with s. This is the first form of verb. A letter is the object. Now see the same example in the negative form. We have used does not before the verb. So we use do or does not before the verb and then object. She does not write a letter. Keep this in mind when we use does in the sentence, then we do not use s with the verb. Now see the interrogative sentence. Does she write a letter? Do or does plus subject plus first form of verb with object. Here also, if we are using does in the sentence, then s will not be there with the verb. In the right corner of the screen, it has been mentioned with what we have to use first form of verb and with what we have to use first form of verb with s or es. Keep this rule in your mind, then you will never commit a mistake. Here are some sentences which I have added to do the practice. Assertive form of sentence has been given. You have to apply the rule of negative and interrogative. You need to pause the video and write the answers for these sentences in your notebooks. Once you are done with the answers, then you can check your answers by playing the video once again. Here are the answers for present simple, negative and interrogative sentences. Check your answers and assess yourself. Next is present continuous tense. So we used it for an ongoing actions in present. See the examples. John is baking a cake. So John is doing this action at present. So it will come under present continuous tense. They are painting the fence. You can also note that changes in the making of sentence has come with the verb only, not with the subject or object. Like present simple, present continuous tense can also be used to describe an activity that is going to happen in the future, especially which are the planned ones. For example, we are moving to Canada in the summer. So this is something which is going to happen in future, but we can use present continuous tense to describe it in the current situation. Next is the train is arriving in 2 minutes. Like after 2 minutes something is going to happen, that is the future activity, but it is a planned one. So here also we use the present continuous tense. As I mentioned that the subject and object do not change their position while making assertive or negative sentences. Here you can see the changes only occur with the verb. Here with subject we are going to use is, am, are with the first form of verb with ing and then the object. We are using the same example to clarify it. She is writing a letter. Is writing with he, she, it. We use is. In negative, we will use not with these auxiliary verbs. Is, am, are plus not. See the example. She is not writing a letter. And then in interrogative, is, am, are will come at the beginning of the sentence, then subject, then the first form of verb with the ing, and then the object. Is she writing a letter? Check the right extreme corner of the screen to see where we have to use am, is, and are. So, when should we use the present continuous tense? First of all, for the things that are happening at the moment of speaking. For example, I am working on my laptop. Please call back as we are eating dinner now. So, when we are speaking this sentence, this thing is happening simultaneously. Next is temporary situations, even if the action is not happening at the moment. For example, she is staying with her friend for a week. He is eating a lot these days. That doesn't mean that he is eating continuously, but this is something which is happening during these days. So this is the temporary situation. Habits that are not regular but happens quite often. For example, you are always losing your keys. Samara is always smiling. So these are the habitual things, but it never happens continuously, but it happens quite often. Here are the practice sentences of present continuous tense. You can pause the video, note down the sentences and write their answers in the negative and interrogative form. Once you are done with the answers, you can resume the video to get the answers. Check your answers and assess yourself. Keep the rules in mind and then you will never be mistaken. If you are done with this, we are going to begin with the present perfect tense. Present perfect tense describe an action that began in the past despite being a present tense. See the example. My friend has taken advice from his mother. The advice had already been taken. That is the action which had already happened in the past, but we are talking about it in the present. They have fixed their broken door. So they are not fixing it right now, but they have done it recently, so we can use present perfect tense here. I have completed my work. Like after the completion of my work, I am saying this sentence right now that I have completed my work. So I began this work in the past and have recently completed it. So we use present perfect here. So what we use in the rules of present perfect tense? Again, three type of sentences are there. But here with subject we use has or have plus third form of verb then object. In the right extreme corner of the screen you can see with he, she, it or a singular noun we use has. With I, we, you, they or plural noun we use have. Then the third form of verb is used in the present perfect tense. See the example. She has written a letter. With has, we have used the third form of write, that is written. The subject and object are the same. Then in negative, with has, we have used not. She has not written a letter. And then in the interrogative, we follow the sentence scheme. With has, have, we use subject, then third form of verb, then object. Has she written the letter? Note down the rules and in some time we will practice the sentences. Here we will learn that when should we use the present perfect tense. First of all, with something that started in the past and continue to the present. And to describe such sentences, we used since and for in the sentence. For example, I have known David since 1995. She has lived in London for 5 years. Then, for the actions that happened sometime during person's life, and we use ever and never in such sentences. For example, I have visited New York 2 times. We have never seen this movie. So these are the some actions which had happened in someone's life. Third is with an unfinished work of this week or this month or of today. For example, I haven't seen her this week. He has drunk 3 cups of coffee today. So these are the actions which are not finished yet and can be continued. Then it's a finished action with the result in present. For example, I have lost my keys. They have missed the bus. So that action has already been done and the result has already with us. Then talk about something that happened recently. For example, I have just seen Julie. So this is something which has recently happened. The president has announced the next plan. So he has just announced it. So these are the actions which has just happened. So we use present perfect tense here. Here are the practice sentences. You can pause the video, note down the sentences and try to write the answers. Once you are finished, you can resume the video to check your answers. Here are your answers. Assess yourself. Pause the video once again and check your answers. The last is present perfect continuous. It is also called present perfect progressive tense and it can be used in 2 ways. First of all, it is a continuous activity that began in the past and continues into the present. For example, those workmen have been fixing the roads. So this action, this activity had already begun in the past and still it is continuing. Next, a continuous activity that began in the past but has now finished. Usually it is used when the activity is recently finished. For example, John has been baking cakes. So John is just finished with making the cakes. So we have used present perfect continuous tense here. Here are the rules for present perfect continuous. Now see, in this sentence perfect is also there and continuous is also there. So the auxiliary verbs which we used in present perfect, that is has and have, we will be using that also. And in continuous tense we have used ing with verb. So here we will be using ing also. So in the assertive sentence we will be using with subject has or have plus been, so that we can add ing to the verb. Then the first form of verb with ing, then object. See the same example. She has been writing a letter. And in negative we will say she has not been writing a letter. And if we have to make interrogative, we will use the auxiliary verb at first. Has she been writing a letter? The same rule that with what we have to use has or have will be applied over here also. Pause the video and note down the rules. Here we will learn that where we should use present perfect tense, first of all, to say how long for an unfinished action. For example, I have been living in London for 3 years. Like this action had already started in the past and still it is continuing. Next is she has been working for 2 years. So from 2 years, from the last 2 years she is working here. So the action is still continuing. Then for the temporary situations or habits. For example, I have been going to gym a lot these days. So these days, obviously I have started this activities from the last few days, but still I am continuing with it. Next is she has been reading an inspirational book. So she is still reading that book, but she started this action maybe past few days. And then action which have recently finished. I have been running, so I'm tired now. So the action is just finished, that now I am tired, but before that I have been running. Next example is it has been raining, so the ground is wet. So that is why the ground is wet, because in the past it had rained. So it has been raining, so the ground is wet. I hope you have understood the sentences to make in a present perfect continuous. Let's practice now. Here are your practice sentences. Pause the video, note down the assertive type of sentence, and then you have to write it down in the negative and interrogative form. Once you are done, then you can resume the video to check your answers. Here are your answers. Pause the video to assess yourself. Here it's a table in which rules of all the types of present tense have been mentioned. 3 types of sentences, that is assertive, negative and interrogative, are also mentioned, and one example is used so that we can understand that how all the rules can be implied in one type of sentence. This table is for your practice. You can pause the video and fill the blank part of the table so that you can assess yourself that what you have learned today. I hope this video is helpful to you all. Thank you for watching.